All right, everyone, get ready, because today we are going deep into the world of AI agents.
AI
Yeah,
agents.
you know those programs that can interact with digital services
Yeah.
on our behalf, like, booking that flight last minute or
Mm.
managing calendars, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah.
what's got me really thinking is the potential for these AI agents to actually like work together, collaborating, to tackle these like much more complex tasks.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
it's really exciting
It
stuff.
is.
But let's be realistic for a sec. Handing over this level of control
Mm-hmm.
to AI, it does raise some big questions
Yeah.
about, security, accountability, all of that.
Absolutely.
So how do we actually empower these digital helpers without giving away like the
Right.
keys to our whole digital kingdoms?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to unpack today, exploring this concept of authenticated delegation.
Authenticated delegation.
And to guide us through this, pretty complex landscape, we've got some really incredible research here from some of the leading experts
Yeah.
at MIT, Oxford, and more.
Yeah, it's pretty fascinating when you start thinking about like the sheer scope of what these AI agents could potentially manage.
Yeah.
We're not just talking about, simple web searches here,
Right.
but actions that actually involve our personal data, financial
Yeah.
resources, even interactions with critical infrastructure, that kind of thing.
It's true. It's like, I'm totally fine letting an AI search for the best flight deals.
Right.
But the idea of it accessing my calendar,
Yeah.
or even worse, like making a purchase with my payment info, that's
Yeah.
a whole other
Oh,
level of trust.
It is?
And, to be honest, the current security measures, things like robots.txt or user agent bans, they just don't cut it.
Yeah, they're great for, basic web interactions, but
Well,
for this kind of autonomy we're talking about,
mhm.
it just lacks the granularity, the control that you would need
Yeah.
for these sophisticated AI agents.
For sure.
What you really need is a system that goes beyond just simply identifying an agent
Right.
to actually verifying its authority
Right.
to perform specific actions on
So
our behalf.
enter authenticated delegation. Right.
Exactly.
This framework that builds on all these internet protocols we already know,
Yeah.
like OAuth 2.0,
Mhm.
OpenID Connect. It's not about reinventing the wheel here.
Right.
It's about adapting these existing security mechanisms.
Tried and true. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well tested. So instead of handing over the master key
Right.
to our digital lives,
Yeah.
we're issuing these very specific, digitally signed permission slips.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And those permission slips are called delegation tokens.
Delegation tokens.
And that's really what sets this framework apart.
Okay.
Imagine you are authorizing an AI agent to handle your emails. With this delegation token, you can say, okay, you can only access emails from this sender or those related to, this specific project.
Right.
It's about defining those precise boundaries.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
controlling, not just what that agent can access, but also what actions
Yeah.
it's actually permitted
That makes sense.
to perform.
Yeah, and that granularity is really key.
It is.
Because we're not just talking about emails here.
Right.
What if it's an AI agent, managing financial transactions?
Oh, yeah.
Could I specify things like spending limits
Absolutely.
or, restrict the types of purchases it can make?
Yeah, definitely. And it even goes further.
Okay.
Imagine you have an AI agent working in a remote virtual environment,
Oh, wow.
running simulations,
Yeah.
analyzing sensitive data in the cloud.
Okay.
You can define precisely which directories it can access,
Yeah.
what commands it can execute,
Mm.
all within this secure
Right.
and auditable system.
Oh.
It's like setting up this virtual sandbox
I like that. Yeah.
for your AI agent to play in,
Mm.
making sure it stays within the boundaries
Right.
that you've defined.
It's like being like a responsible digital parent.
Right.
Right.
Exactly.
Setting these clear rules and boundaries
Yeah.
for your AI offspring.
Yeah.
Not about stifling their potential or anything.
Right.
But it's just about making sure.
Making sure they're safe.
Yeah, they operate safely, responsibly.
Yeah.
But let's be honest. I mean, even for, tech-savvy folks like us, I think managing all these granular permissions
Yeah.
could
It
get,
a bit much.
yeah, pretty overwhelming.
Yeah. And that's where the potential of natural language processing
Okay.
comes in.
Wait,
Researchers are exploring ways to define these permissions using just plain English.
Yep.
So instead of wrestling with, complex code or jargon,
Right.
imagine just telling your AI agent, hey, you can access my project files, but only those related to the marketing campaign.
Wow.
the AI system would translate that instruction
Right.
into the appropriate machine-readable format
Cool.
for the delegation token.
That's a game changer. It's like a
Yeah.
universal translator for AI agents, breaking down the barrier between humans and machines.
Exactly.
But I got to ask, like, how do we make sure that translation is accurate?
Yeah, that's a good point.
Because natural language can be ambiguous.
It can.
And we don't want any misinterpretations
Right.
leading to, like, unintended consequences.
Absolutely, and that's why researchers are also exploring
Right.
what are called controlled natural languages, or CNLs.
CNLs, okay.
Think of them as like a more structured form of English,
Yeah.
designed specifically for machines to understand.
Mm-hmm.
It's about finding that sweet spot,
Yeah.
between the flexibility of natural language
Right.
and the precision that's required for those machine instructions.
So we're, like, teaching our AI agents
In a way, yeah.
like a simplified, unambiguous version
Yeah.
of English.
Mm-hmm.
It's all starting to come together.
It is.
But I am curious, even with all these safeguards,
Yeah.
are there any, like, real-world examples of this? Like, how is this actually being
Well,
applied?
absolutely.
Okay, cool.
One compelling example is the use of AI agents for, like, web browsing.
Yep.
So instead of letting an AI agent roam freely across the internet,
Yeah.
you could define specific websites that it's allowed to visit,
Mm-hmm.
the types of information it can collect,
Right.
how it should handle your personal data, that kind of thing.
So it's not just about giving it access, but it's about giving it, like, controlled,
Exactly.
purposeful access.
Controlled, purposeful.
Yeah, I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
But let's not just limit ourselves to, like, browsing.
Right.
What about AI agents interacting with APIs?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, those are,
That's huge.
the backbone of how software interacts.
It is.
And AI agents, they're going to rely on them heavily.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're thinking ahead, and you're right.
Yeah.
Imagine an AI agent managing your data across various APIs.
Okay.
Things like updating your calendar, pulling financial data,
Right.
maybe even controlling your smart home devices.
Oh, wow.
With this framework, you can dictate
Yeah.
which APIs it can access,
Yeah.
what data it can pull,
Right.
or even modify, all with, like,
Yeah.
that granular precision.
It's like setting up those app permissions on your phone,
Right.
but on this much grander,
Yeah, much bigger scale.
AI-powered scale. Right.
Absolutely.
We're talking about this whole new level of control and transparency.
Yeah.
This is just the tip of the iceberg, though.
It is. It is. Before the break, we were talking about those applications of authenticated delegation to
Right.
AI agents browsing the web and interacting with APIs.
Right. Right.
But the real power of this framework is in its versatility.
Um,
It can be applied to a wide range of scenarios,
Right.
each with their own unique considerations.
All right, so let's push the boundaries a bit here.
Yeah.
What about AI agents that are operating in, like, more complex collaborative environments?
Yeah.
We touched on this earlier, the idea of multiple AI agents working together, each with their own specialized, like, roles and permissions.
Exactly. Imagine a team of AI agents all working on this, like, complex project.
Okay.
Say, developing a new marketing campaign.
Okay.
One agent could be responsible for market research.
Right.
Another one for content creation.
Okay.
Another one for social media engagement.
Yeah.
With authenticated delegation.
Yeah.
You can ensure that each agent operates within its designated area of expertise,
Okay.
only accessing the data and resources
Right.
that are relevant to its specific task.
It's like assembling this, like, team of AI specialists, right?
It is, yeah.
Each with their own clearly defined responsibilities
Mhm.
and access privileges.
Exactly.
But how do we prevent those boundaries from becoming, like, roadblocks?
Right.
What if they need to share information or collaborate on certain aspects of the project?
Yeah, and that's where the granularity of that delegation token
Okay.
really shines.
Yeah.
You can actually define permissions
Okay.
that allow for controlled information sharing between those agents.
Okay.
For example, the market research agent could be authorized to share its findings with the content creation agent,
Okay.
but not the social media agent.
Right.
It's about creating that secure,
Yeah.
structured communication flow
Okay.
between these AI entities,
Right.
making sure that data is only accessed
Mm-hmm.
and used for its intended purpose.
It's fascinating to think about, like, the level of coordination
It is.
and control that this framework, like,
Yeah.
enables.
Yeah.
It's like being the architect
Yeah.
of this AI ecosystem,
Mhm.
carefully designing those interactions and information flow between these, like, digital entities.
Yeah.
But let's shift gears a bit, and talk about the human element in all of this.
Okay.
We've discussed like user-defined permissions, natural language interfaces.
Yeah.
But what about the role of human oversight in all this?
Oh, human oversight is absolutely crucial,
Yeah.
especially, in the initial stages of setting up these AI systems
Right.
and defining those initial permission policies.
Right.
Think of it as like training your AI team, providing them with those high-level guidelines and the boundaries within which they should operate.
Okay.
But the beauty of this framework is that it doesn't require, constant human intervention.
Right.
Once those initial parameters are set, those AI agents, they can operate pretty autonomously,
Right.
only requiring human intervention in exceptional circumstances or when those policies need to be adjusted.
Right. So it's about finding that balance
It is.
between AI empowerment and human control.
Absolutely.
We're not aiming to like micromanage every action.
Right. Yeah.
It's more about like setting the strategic direction.
Yeah.
And letting the AI kind of handle.
Exactly. Handle the details.
Yeah, the tactical execution. But let's be realistic. I mean, no system's perfect, right?
Right.
What are like some of the potential downsides or challenges associated with this approach?
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Authenticated delegation is a really powerful tool,
Sure.
but it's not, a silver bullet.
Right.
One challenge is the potential for complexity.
Okay.
Especially, as these AI systems become more intricate and involve a larger number of interacting agents, managing all those permissions, those relationships, making sure everything works seamlessly.
Right.
It can be a pretty daunting task.
It's like trying to conduct an orchestra of AI agents.
Exactly.
Each playing their own part.
Yeah.
But needing to, stay in perfect harmony with all the others.
Yeah.
There's a lot that can go wrong.
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why we need, robust tools and systems to manage this complexity without overwhelming the humans involved, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Another challenge is this need for standardization.
Oh, okay.
Right now we're still kind of in the early stages and different platforms, different developers might implement these protocols slightly differently.
So there's a risk of fragmentation.
Exactly.
Where different AI ecosystems, they can't talk to each other. They can't like seamlessly interact.
Exactly. And that's why it's so important to establish, those clear standards, best practices for authenticated delegation, ensuring interoperability, consistency across all these different AI systems and platforms, you know?
Right.
But perhaps the most significant challenge, and one that we really can't overlook, is the legal dimension of all this.
Right.
As AI agents become, more integrated into our lives, the question of legal responsibility becomes increasingly complex.
That's a whole other can of worms,
It
right?
is, yeah.
We're essentially talking about assigning like legal liability to like these non-human entities.
It is uncharted territory in many ways, and it's definitely an area where the legal system is still catching up.
Yeah, I can imagine.
One concept that's particularly relevant here is what's called apparent authority in agency law.
Apparent authority.
It deals with situations where a third party reasonably believes an agent is authorized to act on behalf of someone.
Right.
Even if that authorization, hasn't been explicitly granted.
So in the context of AI agents, if my AI appears to be authorized to make a purchase on my behalf, a retailer might assume it is, even if it's actually acting outside of its defined permissions.
Exactly.
Wow, that's tricky.
And that raises all sorts of questions about who's ultimately responsible.
Right.
Is it the user?
Yeah.
Is it the AI developer?
Right.
The platform provider?
Yeah.
These are complex issues that require, careful consideration as AI agents become more autonomous and those lines of accountability get a little more blurred.
It's almost like we need a whole new, like, legal framework.
It might come to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For the age of AI, right?
Right.
One that clearly defines the rights, the responsibilities, the liabilities of both humans and their, like, digital counterparts.
Absolutely.
It's a lot to think about.
It is.
And it really highlights the need for, like, these thoughtful, proactive discussions
Yeah.
about the ethical and legal
Yeah.
implications of these technologies. But let's not get too bogged down in the
Right.
legalities just yet.
Yeah, we'll save that
We'll delve deeper.
for next time.
Yeah, into those aspects in part 3 of our deep dive.
So welcome back to the final part of our deep dive.
Yeah, it's been quite a journey.
It has. It really has. And, as we've seen this authenticated delegation framework, it really has some profound implications for how we interact with AI agents.
Yeah, both personally and on like a societal level.
Absolutely.
It's like we're building the foundation for this whole new way of
It is, yeah.
interacting with AI,
Mhm.
where it's not just a tool,
Right.
but a collaborator.
Right.
It's got some autonomy, but it's always within those boundaries that we've defined.
And that's why it's so crucial to consider,
Yeah.
the broader
Yeah,
legal and ethical implications.
of
Right.
this whole thing. We talked about apparent authority in the last segment, and that just highlights
Yeah.
one of the many legal challenges we face
Yeah. For
in
sure.
a world that's becoming increasingly reliant
No.
on AI agents.
It's like we're trying to take these centuries-old
Yeah, we are.
legal principles and apply them to these new digital entities.
Yeah.
So where do we even begin to address these challenges?
Well, I think one starting point is to look at, existing legal frameworks
Yeah.
that deal with electronic transactions and digital signatures.
Right.
You've got the Uniform Electronic Transactions Act,
Oh, the UADA.
the UADA, for example.
Yeah.
That provides a foundation for,
Okay.
recognizing the validity and enforceability of these electronic agreements.
So it's about adapting those principles to AI agents.
Exactly. Yeah. UADA emphasizes the importance of,
Okay.
agreed upon security procedures,
Sure.
error detection protocols to make sure there's trust.
Trying accountability in these electronic transactions.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And these principles become, even more critical
Right.
when AI agents are involved
Yeah.
because we need to establish,
Yeah.
very clear mechanisms for verifying their authority,
Right.
tracking their actions.
It's like building a digital chain of custody.
It is.
Right. Making sure every action can be traced back to its source, verified against those permissions.
Absolutely.
But the UAID is just, one piece of the puzzle.
It is.
What other legal considerations are there?
Well, another crucial aspect is,
Yeah.
data privacy.
Oh, right, of course.
As these AI agents become more and more prevalent,
Yeah.
they're inevitably going to access
Yeah.
and process huge amounts of personal data.
Right. And that's
It's essential to have,
sensitive.
robust data protection laws
Right.
in place to ensure that data is handled responsibly.
Right. And only used for,
And ethically, yeah.
yeah, its intended purpose.
Yeah, it's about striking that balance
Right.
between empowering those AI agents to access what they need to do their jobs, while also safeguarding,
Right.
individual privacy,
Yeah.
preventing that information from being misused.
And that kind of ties into the bigger ethical consideration
does, yeah.
around AI, right?
Mhm.
Like, as we give these AI agents more and more autonomy,
Yeah.
we need to make sure that they're aligned with our values
Right.
and operate, in a way that's fair, unbiased, transparent.
Absolutely.
It's almost like we're raising this generation of digital citizens.
Yeah.
We got to instill in them,
You got to teach them right from wrong.
yeah, these ethical principles, these societal norms
Absolutely.
that'll guide their actions
Yeah.
in the digital world. But let's be honest,
Yeah.
this is complex.
It is.
This landscape's constantly changing. There's no
No easy answer.
easy fix, no one-size-fits-all solution.
It's an ongoing conversation.
It is.
And it requires, collaboration between technologists, legal experts, policymakers,
Yeah, it's a group effort.
and society as a whole.
Right.
It's about fostering a dialogue,
Yeah,
anticipating those potential challenges,
right.
and developing frameworks that ensure
Yeah.
responsible innovation.
It's a journey, not a destination.
It is.
And this authenticated delegation, it's just one step.
Yeah, but it's a big one.
Yeah, a crucial one.
Mhm.
On this path towards, a future where AI is really augmenting our capabilities.
Absolutely.
It's about creating this framework for trust and collaboration
Yeah.
where we can use the power of AI
Mhm.
while still protecting our values, our
Yeah, the
rights.
future. Yeah.
Well, on that note, that's the end of our deep dive today.
Wow, time flies.
I know.
It does.
Into authenticated delegation, we've covered a lot.
We
From
have.
the technical side to the legal and ethical implications.
Handle it.
It's a field that's, full of possibility,
Mm-hmm.
but it's also got its fair share of challenges.
It does. It definitely demands our attention,
Right.
our critical thinking,
Yeah,
our collective wisdom.
it does. And as AI keeps evolving at this
Yeah.
crazy pace,
It is moving fast.
it's up to us to shape its development
Absolutely.
and make sure it serves humanity's best interests.
Yes, couldn't have said it better myself.
And that's what the deep dive is all about, exploring these topics,
Mm.
challenging those assumptions,
Right.
and empowering you, our listeners,
That's right.
to navigate
Yeah.
this ever-changing landscape
Yes.
of technology.
Absolutely.
Well said. So until next time, keep those minds curious
Stay curious.
and those algorithms accountable.